My name is Oliver Bauer, and in my normal life, I'm not a presenter, I'm not a speaker, I'm a winemaker. Therefore, forgive me if we are not doing it, let's say, the fashionable way or the new way. What we want to do today is to get in contact with you, the colleagues, the producers, the consumers, to find out more what you already know, what you would like to find out, and where we can, let's say, get a connection together. And therefore, I kindly ask you right in the start, before we start any kind of speeches, we have here 2 microphones, if I'm not wrong. Do we have them already? If you have, at any time, if you have a question, if you want to add something, and if you want to find out more, please feel free to ask at any time. Just lift your arm or make a sign, and we will pass you the microphone. We want to get to a discussion. We want to get to interaction with you, not to become too boring. One stands in front and speaks, and the others have to listen. If something is not understood, please lift an arm, make a sign, and we will pass you a microphone. The first speaker I have the pleasure to introduce to you is, what I would say, a nice refreshment. This is what I'm saying now as a wine producer myself. Since these guys entered the scene, the rather crusty surface of Romanian wine market got a new dash of a youthful new approach. And therefore I'm very happy that he's here today, and we can squeeze out even the last information out of his huge knowledge. Because when I read his vita, I really hope that nobody will read mine in my speech when I have it later in the afternoon. University of Economics and Business in Vienna, and since 2012 he is business development manager for the Winery Liliac, and starting with 2015 the general director. So please welcome with me Mr. Miron Radić, and as I said, please feel free to ask questions.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had your coffee, you're awake. I had one, but I would need another one. So what I'm going to talk today about is the millennial wine lover, and to have an idea who I am and what we do. Here, that's me. I'm the general manager of Liliac. We are a small winery in Transylvania. As Oliver said, I studied marketing and product management. I don't know how to do wine. I could probably do very bad wine, but that no one would buy. I also did a master degree in wine marketing. I never finished. I still have to write that thesis, but someday I will have the time. What I do in a daily life, I manage the winery Liliac. We started in 2012, rather young, with a really amazing team, which is sitting here in the front. We established a brand in the Romanian wine industry, which is known in the meantime, and known for good wine, which is important for us. Not only that we love to drink our wines ourselves, we also sell quite good. It was founded in 2010 by Alfred Michael Beck, also not a winemaker. He's an architect, a real estate developer, and a farmer in his free time. We launched in March 2012. That's when I joined the team. And we created many things. One of them is Young Liliac, about what I'm going to talk today. Just before we start, who of you is a millennial? So please raise your left hand. I grew up in Austria. Raising the right hand is not okay. So okay. But what is a millennial? I would like, the definition is very shortly read. A person reaching young adulthood in the early 21st century, according to Oxford. That's a little bit vague. We marketeers like to define it more special. That's a person born between 1981 and 1996. So rather a large range. Mostly a child of the baby boomer. So one of your parents should be born in that time age of 1946 to 1964. That's where we are called eco-boomers. And we are the generation Y. Before us was the generation X, which was rather darkish and not so extroverted like we are. And after us is following the already adult generation Z. Those are the ones who don't know what Nokia 3310 is. They only know everything digital, everything with touchscreen. We had the pleasure to enjoy also analog things, and we know what a CD is and stuff like that. So now again, who of you is a millennial? Okay, a few more. Okay. Good. I will speak now as us millennials. We are digital natives. It's very nice. We know how to look everything up. We are smarter than anyone else. Google tells us everything. It's really, really nice. But we lost a little bit touch to the natural things, and also we are not tech savvy. We know how to use it, but we don't really know how it works, and we don't care how it works. So we are not interested really how the things we do on the phone work. It's just important it works. We can go on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Here comes the second point. We live online. Our life is really online. We share, we post, we make stories. And in total, we have a lot of friends online. On the other hand, and that's the downside of it, our offline behavior, or the natural behavior, we have less and less friends. The social context got less, and we turned into more to be narcissists. We like to talk about ourselves, like I do right now. But positive side is we are high achievers. We really want to achieve something. We want to change things. We are not satisfied with a mediocre result. We want to change the game. And with this, the downside is we are really, really burning out fast. A lot of stress is causing a lot of health issues, which only older generations had. But us young people already see them. Every one of us has stress in his life at some point, so quite natural. Another good thing is high involvement. We care about nature. We care that things are organic, and we want to know why are things in contrast. We don't know. We don't want to know how they work, but we want to know why they are as they are. Why is the climate changing and stuff like this? This is a very, very positive aspect, and also has a few consequences with the wine. But my question is, why are we so interesting for the wine market suddenly? Because until recently, no one cared about us. We all wanted the rich guy who could buy a lot of wine and drink it at home and so on. But suddenly, everyone is talking about millennials in wine. And here are just a few headlines. We drink a lot. We really like to drink. In the US, 42% of all wine sold is sold to millennials. Very nice. So we are the largest target group for the distribution channels. And we drink expensive. We are not cheap. We really are ready to spend. 17% of the millennials spent over $20 per bottle, and only 5% of our parents did so. So really, the money we earn, we like to spend. And that's why now. First, the demography is changing. The olders are spending less. They're more concerned with other topics. They're not big spenders. They eat out less. They drink less. And with this, also the general market is declining. But here we step in. We go out more. We drink more. We travel more. And we want to also to explore more. While the parents' generation was here in the US, especially drinking Chardonnay, or anything but Chardonnay. The young generation is interested in finding out new grape varieties, new stuff. And this opens also the door for many producers from unknown regions like we are. Romania is quite unknown. Transylvania is a little bit more known, but not for wine, really. So we have the lifestyle, and we have a general trend of the market that it's a decreasing market. It's funny, although there are more and more people in the world, in the old countries, in Europe and so on, the general consumption is decreasing. People are living healthier, they're drinking less, although wine has its health benefits. So there is a stronger competition, and there are more and more producers. So the market competition is very, very tough. That's why now us millennials are such a good focus group. And we created some trends on the market. If you live here in Bucharest, like I do, you notice that a lot of wine bars are opening. That's very nice. With the wine bars together, there are also different signs which are not in the wine industry, like craft beer. You see craft beer popping up everywhere. That's also driven by the millennials. And you have burgers and this kind of street food becoming very fancy to eat, and you can find it more and more everywhere. So this is also a trend driven by us millennials, but not concerning the wine industry too much. Although a craft beer drinker is more likely to drink wine than a regular beer drinker is. So again, good for us. Here, Oliver can for sure confirm, rosé is a huge trend here. We cannot produce enough rosé for the market here. They're drinking everything away, and you have then to allocate and to make special clients get special bottles and so on. Rosé is increasing a lot, 5% in Europe in average. In Romania, even more. And the second trend, sparkling. A few years ago, there were not too many producers of sparkling in Romania. In the meantime, there are a lot because there is a demand. people like to drink sparkling. And also they are getting to know the different ways of sparkling. And especially in the last years, popular is the traditional method, the champagne method, which also is sold quite at a high price and also interesting for us producers. A trend more international than Romanian is organic wine. Again, from the high involvement, people want to know where the food comes from. They're interested to know where the wine comes from, and they're happy to hear it's organic. For us here in Romania, it's not such a big trend. There are a few organic wineries and biodynamic wineries, but it's not a unique selling proposition. It's just another element. It's nice to have, but not a must. But now we come to the Romanian market. Romania is a wine country, for those of you who don't know. Romania is a quite big wine country. In totally, there are even more hectares, 240,000 hectares, but only 180,000 are really worked on. But only 60% of this are suitable to make wine, noble wine as we do it, vitis vinifera. So around 100,000 hectares, this is the size. There are 42 regions in total. They're split in DOC areas and IG areas. It's a complicated law. We are, for example, in the DOC area of Lechintza, but in the IG area of Transylvania. So you can be in two areas at the same time. And in total, there are 42. There are not complete clear laws about what's the benefit of it, but it could be a very good, unique selling proposition when this is evolved more. Romania produced 5.2 million hectoliters. It's very nice when you read these numbers in newspapers and so on. What does that mean? If every wine of this would be bottled, that would be 693 million bottles. That's already a lot. And if a single person has to drink it over his life, Romanian drinks 27 liters of wine per year. He would be drinking for around 19 million years to drink a yearly production. Quite some work. And Romania is in the top of Europe. It's number 5, only topped by Italy, France, Spain, which are classical, and Germany in the wine production. So, yeah. But the Romanian wine market is rather dominated by the big players. And here maybe you can see, I don't know your opinion, but they aren't really attractive to the young consumer. Here this is just the biggest producers, Jidvei, Cotnar, Vincon, and Recaș. It's nothing about quality and so on. They do great wine. It's just to see the design which is sold the most. This is over 2/3 of the market, those 4 wineries. And they're the big players against whom small wineries like us or Stirbe, Bauer, and others compete. Not really millennial friendly. More millennial friendly is this. Maybe the internationals know the wines, Prisoner, and I Heart Wines. This is a retail brand, and a typical rosé from Napa Valley, I think. So more open. The wine brands don't look really like wine labels anymore, besides the I Heart, which is a retail brand, and it's found in the shelf in the supermarket. The rest are mostly focused also on Horeca, so you can see it can look differently. It doesn't have to look always the same boring stuff. But what does a label really say about the wine? And here I want to do a small quiz. Those 2 wines, both Châteauneuf-du-Pape, AOP, really nice wines. But what's the price? And here I want to say, who thinks the left one, this one, is more expensive? So who thinks the right one is more expensive? Okay. Now let's guess the price of the left one. Who says 1 to 5? 5 to 10? 10 to 25? Okay. 25 to 75? 75 to 150? And 250 to 400? Okay. Not a single one was correct, because it's 250 to 400 euros. It's Henri Bonneau, it's a Réserve de Célestine, very amazing Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And the right one, let's guess the price. 1 to 5? 5 to 10? Again, very little are right. It's €9.90 at Lidl. So you see, the information that you get from the label, if a wine is worth a lot or not, is very difficult. So it's also very difficult for us to transport the image on just on a label, how worthy the wine is. Now about us, just very shortly. We are a rather small winery, if you take that, we have 51.55 hectares, and there are 180,000 in Romania. We are really, really small. Also in our area, from the big players, Jidvez in our area, they have 2,500 hectares. We die from work from 51.55 hectares. I don't want to imagine how it is with 2,500 hectares. We are home in Lăchința. We have 2 vineyards, but very close by. We have 12 grape varieties, of which are 8 white and 4 red. We have indigenous grape varieties like Viteasca Alba, Viteasca Regala, Viteasca Neagra, Neuburger, also indigenous, although Austrian, and Traminer. And we have international ones like Sauvignon Blanc. If you drink our wines, you probably know the Sauvignon Blanc from us, or the Rosé from Pinot Noir, or the Pinot Noir itself. It's also very nice. We produce 400,000 bottles, which is quite a lot for us. We started with 12,000 bottles in 2012, which we sold. Now we reach 400,000 bottles, which we also sell. If we wouldn't sell the wine and would give it to one of my colleagues to drink all lifelong, he or she would have to live 11,111 years to finish all the wine.
If you're average drinker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They are.
Some of us may live shorter than.
Yes. Although we sell 90% at home here in Romania, we export to 12 countries, from Canada to now Japan, but mostly in the European countries and the Benelux countries. We are a little bit different in terms of being a winery. We are not a chateau. We are nothing. We don't have a history of winemaking. We did this by accident. We came to making wine by accident. It was never a plan to make wine. First, we wanted to sell grapes. We are in the second job, we are farmers. We plant crop, we sell it, and that's it. We thought it's the same with wine. It's not, and we learned it the hard way. But then when we said we do it, let's do it properly. And first, you see our tasting room, the lodge. It's on top of the hill. It's very small for 16 people. That's how we like it. In team atmosphere, we can talk about it, enjoy, nothing is stressful. When you come there, all the food is from the village or surroundings, because the village is rather small, but in the area of Batoš and Regin. On the right side, you see the cellar, which looks like a little bit like a fabric, because it's very functional. We don't touch the earth. We are only above earth, which is a benefit in Romania because we don't have to build an atomic bunker. We didn't know that that's the law, that you have to build one, but okay. We are expanding the cellar continuously. It grew as we grow. And the next thing is, I would call ours innovative because we dared to change. Again, not coming from wine, we really didn't care. We made the first youngs that we created. We made the first straw wine. We are one of the first to make an orange wine. And we make ice wine. It's not the first ones to make ice wine, of course, but we try to touch new fields. And until now, it's working very well. The project that we have for millennials is a design contest every year, starting in September, going up to mid of October, which is only run online. We don't do offline campaigns, only online campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, and everyone can enter it. Of course, we target young talents. We collaborate with the Institute, who are the organizers of the Romanian Design Week, and the University of Art. And we really like young artists to work with us, to come to us, and also maybe stay with us. We have 3 different categories. First is the main winner, who gets his label on his or her label on 60,000 bottles. The second one is the popularity winner. We want to increase traffic, so there is about likes and everything. And the third one is by a jury for the most creative one, and he or she wins a course at the creative director course together with the Institute. So we really want to motivate young talent to do something to learn more. We started in 2012. 2012 was a hand drawing of a friend, of the owner. This was not a real contest. In 2013, you have the winner here, which I couldn't find the name anymore, I have to be honest. In 2014, and I like this one the most, is the winner is Bianca Tamașan. And funny thing is, I wrote her a message after she won, and I wrote her in very nice English. Congratulations, you're the winner of this year's contest, and so on. Her reaction was like, and sorry my French, why the fuck in English? I'm from Batoš, I'm from the village. And then we got to know her, and in the meantime, she's our touristic manager. If you come to visit us, she will welcome you. She or Camelia her help. And she's our in-house designer. In the meantime, we developed 2 more labels, Lily and Crepuscule, which are sold in the retail markets. And we work with her for everything that we need based on our in-house needs for design. After that, you see the next winner was Alexandru Strujak from Constanța. Very nice design with the hanging bed. The first one, whoever thought that beds actually never look like they look here, they hang. And then it got very urban with the design of Mihaela Catușu, very nice young artist, who brought us to the city. And in 2017, Ioana Oltean took us from the city directly to the party. And we had dancing people on the design. And this vintage, 2018, Ana Banica had a very nice interpretation of the Bat Girl. And those are the winners so far. We're really curious to see who will be the winner. Who will be the winner this year? We invite everyone to participate. There are no limits. Everyone who is not related to any one of us working is allowed to participate. And we are really keen to develop this bigger and bigger. This year, for example, we will include also the design of the screw cap in the complete design. And here, a good point which I forgot first. If you remember the Romanian bottles, all are with cork. None is with screw cap. We are the only ones selling on a larger scale wines with screw cap successfully in Romania, because it's a thing people don't understand, that the screw cap for these fresh wines is a benefit. So, when you have different wines, you promote them differently. I was looking for some pictures. This is our small Ape Piaggio, which we use for events, for street food festivals and so on. It has a wine bar included in it, and we can serve directly from there. We go with this everywhere we can. And currently it's at the seaside. And we promote there our young wines, because the public is different, you have to approach them differently. Then, of course, when you have something nice, you have to make a nice party. And every year in February, just around Valentine's Day, probably one day before or one day after, we have a party in unusual locations. This year we had it at Halucinarium, which is an abandoned industry hall, where is now an art gallery. And we made a party in there with, I don't know, 300 people, something like this. And it was very successful. And we also show the wines differently. It's not a typical wine. If you ask our winemaker about these wines, he hates them, because they're very hard to make. They have to be very fresh and very fruity and very early on the market. And for us, they're a niche. And that's also important that we, with this product, we want to educate the future drinkers of our main brand. Yeah. And what's the conclusion of all my talking is, to my fellow colleagues from other wineries, millennials are a growing market. While the rest of the market is rather dropping, this is really growing, and it will be the main target group for all of you. Not only for us in Young Liliac, for all our wines, this will be the main target group, and we will have to shift our communication and designs to be more appropriate for them. And what we will all have to do is share more information. Millennials want to know. He or she wants to know where the wine comes from, how it was treated, and so on. And you have to provide more information. If you currently look on what we provide as information, it's very basic. And if you are more interested in wine, as all the courses that are now available with WSAT and so on teach you, you want really to know more, and so we have to offer more information. Any questions? Don't be shy.
We know it's very early, but I can hardly believe that there are no questions. If you don't have questions, I will ask, and this may take a while. So, really, no one? Okay, then I think I have to ask. Very interesting what you said about the youngsters, the millennials, about their consumption behavior. What I read recently in different magazines or newspapers, especially from the States, is rather a drop away from products like wine, especially because they are lacking information and they're drinking Alka-Seltzer with alcohol, because at least then they know what's in there. How do you tackle that, or how do you see that in the future, even for a European market? For sure, the tradition and the history in Europe is a little bit different than in the States, but how is it? And you talked about they're spending more compared to what? My experience is that they are willing to spend money, that's for sure, but I don't know yet the millennial which is, let's say, willing and seeing the sense of spending, let's say, to buy such a Chateauneuf du Pape, for instance. How do you see that in the future, and also especially for the Romanian market?
So those were two questions.
I told you it will take a while.
Yes. Good. The first question is, yes, they're turning away, but on the other hand, they're turning also to other things. If you take the US market, Prosecco and Moscato wines are increasing. Easy approachable wines, they're increasing. Decreasing are the standard products who no one wants to drink anymore. Oaked Chardonnay and stuff like this is decreasing a lot. But if you provide them information, if you make your product, let's say, sexy, you're interesting for them. If you yourself also make orange wine, and people are ready to pay more for this. When they know it's crafted, there's work behind it, it's not a machine who did all the work, but actual people, the readiness to spend is higher. The readiness to spend on a standard product is not as given before, and they spend more than the generations before. Generation X and the baby boomers, they are decreasing in the spending because
it's in average or
in average per bottle. Yes, okay. If you take also, I have to be honest, the baby boomers and the Generation X worked harder for the money. This is the difference. We live in a good time where also young people have access to higher salaries from the very beginning, and this wasn't the case. You had really to work your way up. Right now, if you're a successful influencer or something, the money comes easier than it used to be. There are different fields. What was the second question?
No, how you tackle that? I mean, how you are provoking, how you're motivating people. Because what I really liked, and I also therefore also said that you have been the first ones, and I'm saying this as I said, as a colleague, as a winemaker. The Romanian wine market was, or let's say, is still rather crusty. Exactly what you showed in the beginning, labels which are, let's say, 40, 50 years the same. They say they're having a kind of a patina on them, but I think this is exactly what people like, because they are recognizing it again, which is also kind of very, very important to have awareness and to have a corporate identity. But how do you convince people to come from a fresh, Liliac fresh, which is I would not want to call it entry level because I don't believe in these kind of levels, but from a young, uncomplicated, easy to approach wine to wines you also have in your portfolio. Not to talk about wines like Titan, but expensive, more elevated wines which are, let's say, not as easy to approach and demanding a completely different, let's say, kind of patient and buying capability.
The thing is that our wines have a general style, and the fresh and the fruity and young are the entrance to this. And if you like the fresh, the Sauvignon Blanc fresh, you're more likely to like also our Sauvignon Blanc. It's just educating them not to drink. If you saw the first Romanian bottles, a lot of them were demi-sec or demi-dolce, and this is what youngsters used to drink. It's the entrance to the wine world. It's sweeter, it's easier to understand. So we wanted first to teach them that dry wines can also be fruity, can also have a very nice palate, and with this we bring them to the dry side, and then it's just with the locations. We offer mostly the youngs by the glass, and then it's more the opportunity to have the bottled wine as the bottle. It's a gap there, which we know, between our youngs and the Liliacs, but also it's a wished communication because the communication is completely different.
So you think by growing older, you're getting also, let's say, you're starting to be crisp, and when becoming older, you're getting also more settled.
If I take the wines that I drank 12 years ago, that was Soave at €2.99 and so on, to get you drunk, let's say. Now I choose wines to enjoy.
That's quite a confession here. You're quite courageous. Okay, yeah. But at least there you can see he's honest. Okay, and yes, so far, any questions? As you can see, he's not biting. Please, let's make this a little bit, I cannot believe that you not have any questions. Now he's here, now squeeze him. Or I will continue to squeeze him.
Please.
Okay, you have no mercy with you. What I would be, let's say, what I am afraid a little bit that winemaking, and as you know, I'm a traditional guy in a positive way. So I'm not, I don't want old labels or whatever, old rugs to be, let's say, lifted into the 21st century. But I like tradition, and for me, a brand or an awareness of a wine has to grow. So of course you can employ, you can pay a nice designer, which creates you an imagine of what you want to sell. Aren't you afraid, or how do you prevent the danger of this thing carrying off. So we're very fruity. We are again more fruity. This is like this stupid washing powder commercial, whiter than white. For me, this is completely hilarious. It's how to. This is for me a very dangerous. Let's say it keeps this danger within to carry off, because designers there are many, and of course you did, as I said, a great job, and I love that the approach. But it is very easy. It would be very easy to copy if the wine itself doesn't count.
Yes.
How do you tackle this, and how do you prevent this kind of danger for the future as a winery, as a brand?
Yes. First of all, we are a winery. Our core competence is making great wine. We focus on the quality of the product. This has to be the conditio sine qua non. This is non-questionable. This is the base. And then with young is only a small part of our production. It's like 15%.
No, you already said what I wanted to hear. This is exactly where I want to go.
We want to make...
No, sorry, because for me, a lot of people, especially when they're in his position, if I talk to marketer or to, let's say, to the guys to the sales department, let's say 90% of the people working there won't understand what I am as a winemaker are talking or blubbering about. And therefore, for me, a lot of products, not only the wine and wine business in general, a lot of products are only alive, or let's say they are living through the packaging, which is for sure very important. But as I said, for me, the danger is very high for this to carry off. And therefore, this is exactly what, this was your first sentence. That's for us, we're making great wines. This is exactly what I want to hear. Also, let's say a young Liliac, fresh, whatever, is a great wine. This is exactly, because a great wine does not have necessarily the cost $450 a bottle. It's great within his segment and within his, let's say, within the idea, because of what it was produced. But sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to say that I like the answer.
And then it's very important that you really reflect the terroir. We never try to copy anyone. We make our Sauvignon Blanc the way we make it. It's not New Zealand, it's not France, it's somewhere in between, it's Transylvanian. It's very important to know what you can do in your area and what you can't do. We make Fittesca Negra. It doesn't taste like Fittesca Negra from Dello Mare. If you want a full-bodied, really heavy Fittesca Negra, don't come to us. We don't do it. We do elegant, nice, and so on, and we don't want to be like anyone else. We had these conversations in the beginning. If you take the European map and you take the 47 latitude, Burgundy is on it and we are on it. But that's the only thing we have in common. We are not the new Burgundy and so on. We're Transylvania. We have different climate, we have different soils, we have different people. And all of this contributes to a different wine. And if we want to copy Burgundy, we'll be just a cheap copy of it and nothing else, and never recognized as what we are. And that's a Transylvanian winery.
Talking about millennials, we are completely forgetting about old guys like me or others, even older.
We deliver to retirement.
No, I'm a 70s vintage, so I can say I'm an older guy. I'm for sure not a millennial. What to do about them? Because another experience of mine is, besides the fact that the youngsters, they want to know more, which I can absolutely confirm, this is absolutely true. They want more information, they want to, and not only what color the wine has and what fruits, and they don't want to see people in white gloves and ashtrays around their necks, they simply want to have profound information. But how to tackle those who already know something about the wine, how to tackle with a young yet traditional product, how to tackle this kind of generation, which is now also in Romania. There are not less, there are also many people, they have their own companies, they have good jobs, whatever. They have also kids, perhaps even millennials. How to do one thing without forgetting about the other thing? So how to tackle both of these generations?
Let's say it's also an interesting trend, and this is from a discussion we had with our social media agency. When we target for young Liliac, we target it until 40. But if you're 40, it's not a limit.
I told you, I'm an old guy.
Yeah, no. You can also, we set it up because a lot of the people who are now in the 40s, 50s still feel very young, and they are young.
Indeed. No.
Yes.
No,
you're young. You can do the same thing like his.
Thank you.
So a lot of the Generation X feels the same things like the people from the millennials. This is one thing they have in common. And they also like to play with the gadgets that the millennials use. You also use your smartphone and so on. It's not that you're stuck with all stuff. You get your information from the internet. So there's a lot of parallels between the two generations. It's not like a clear cut. And also for this group who has more money and so on, you provide a different kind of quality of information. While the information for millennials has to be quick and quickly accessible, because the attention span is very small. If you're not there within the first second of information, you're lost. For you who are more, let's say, sophisticated in the field, you look for more detailed information, and as a winery, you have to provide this too. But probably
Meaning everybody who has, let's say, the last person or the last point before the client or the final consumer puts the hand on the bottle. How do you see the situation in Romania concerning trained professionals?
it's bad, but it's bad everywhere. It's a problem that the food is amazing. The restaurants look really amazing, and they're better than in most other European cities, actually. But the service level is really bad, and the people don't know, and they're also not interested to know, because the difference, you're from Germany, I grew up in Austria. In Austria, a waiter is going to school to be a waiter. He goes, he first is a Azubi, and he learns how to be a waiter. Here you're a waiter because it's an in-between job most of the time. You don't plan to stay long, and you're not interested to develop, and also the salaries are low in this field. And in general, it's hard to find people. I mean, we are looking all the time for people. So if anyone wants to work in wine, we are looking for people. And
you're the only ones.
No.
You're the only ones.
No, it's very hard, and it's something to tackle. And this is, I think, also has to come from our side to train them better. Our guys and ladies go to the locations, make trainings with them.
Aside of this W set or whatever, this kind of let's say, rather rudimentary schooling. What else do you do? What else can you imagine? What else you would like to do in the future to improve also, let's say, the motivation and the depth of the knowledge of your already trained staff? What are you doing to keep them, let's say, spot on, and keep them let's say, increasing their knowledge about the...
First, you take them to wine fairs like ProWine, so that they can taste the world and see how small Romania is actually. Mm-hmm. And they can see how different the tastes are and so on, and how diversified the field is. This is one step. The second step is what we're working on, visiting other wineries to see how others do it, because we are just one of many wineries here. And also, whatever they want to know and so on, to encourage them to learn by themselves. And if you find the right set of people, and I'm lucky to have the right set of people.
So to keep their minds open, just try now to translate this again, to put it in other words, to keep their minds open and to see other wineries not necessarily as competition, but as colleagues and as a provocation to do something better, if it's the case. Okay, I think it's also a rather unusual way of thinking still in Romania, because I'm also asked a lot of times, and what they're doing with all this competition, and they're talking about our neighbors and our friends next to you. And I think help me out here, in Dragașan we have 11 wineries, or 12 wineries, something like this. And now please help me, because people normally don't believe me if I say that. In Austria, a wine village, how many wineries is there in one village?
120 something. Yes.
So, and I think this is what we have to, and this is great that you mentioned that. I think this is our biggest problem. the lack of self-confidence. We have a lot of self-confidence in if it comes to Romania and if we have to, let's say, defend Romania against something else, but we have in ourselves a little, let's say, a lack of self-confidence if it comes to our Romanian products. And exactly as you said, I'm also convinced about it. We have to train, we have to learn. This is a continuous process, and also to talk about it, to communicate with information and with profound information. And therefore, we need professionals. And this is exactly. I'm completely agreeing. Still a long way to go, but I think we're on a good way. And I think Liliac is one of the shining examples of how a good product combined with good marketing and a very motivated team can rise in no time, because we are since 2012 on the market, and not even a decade. And if you're talking about the competitions or our competitors throughout the world, a decade in the wine business is nothing. Also, if millennials may disagree, for a millennial perhaps 3 months is a long term of time. But for a wine business, it isn't. And yes, I think it's a shining example of how it can be done in the wine market and the wine business in Romania. Questions?
One more thing to wine business.
Pardon?
I went to Vinexpo Bordeaux and we visited some wineries, 2014, 2015, and there was the Baroness Rothschild, and she said a very nice thing: wine business is a very easy business. Only the first 200 years are difficult. So we have 190 left.
No, this is about what she said about to make an icon wine. Huh? So it's very easy. Just make 25 generations wine, then you have an icon. Very, very easy. Okay, questions? Yes, please.
One very nice trend which I like is that everyone heard the question? Okay, good.
What trends do you see in Romanian restaurants regarding wine consumption, and how do you think millennials influence these trends in HoReCa?
Okay. There are two trends in my opinion. First trend which I really like is the trend to drink Romanian wines and Romanian grape varieties. Very nice. Rather than to drink cheap imports, it's a trend to drink Romanian. And here, very nice, Feteasca is reviving, especially Feteasca Regală, because it's more aromatic. And also Crampoșie and local grapes, which is important. No one can copy our local grapes here. It's, if we compete with Sauvignon Blanc, we compete with 10,000 wineries. If we make Feteasca Regală, they're much less, 50, 60. So this is one trend. And the second trend is going from the big producers to the smaller producers. While wine menus were dominated by the big producers, you can see that a lot of people want diversity in the menu. They want wines from every area of Romania, not only to be in one area. And they want also small producers, not only the big ones. And this is nice. And this is for sure driven by the millennials who are not so loyal to the brands which the parents know.
Now, perhaps this is also interesting or a problematic issue. The pricing, especially in restaurants, is sometimes a little bit, let's call it a little bit over the top. I always claim that it's better to sell 2 bottles with a normal price than 1 bottle with a huge price, because the probability to sell 1 extremely expensive bottle is very lower than to sell 2 bottles with a good price. I think, especially in the restaurants, we have to work. We do still have to do a lot of work and pricing. And yes, we have also to think in longer terms, not in one, session. Let's say in the seaside for these, 3-4 months. I don't know how long it's the main session there or the season, but in long terms, because the clients and the consumers becoming more and more interested and informed, and they don't buy in every meaning. They don't buy everything anymore. They need a good reason, and this includes a good product and a good service. So 600% in plus or 700% in plus for let's say a normal supermarket wine in a restaurant is simply, not the way to go, after my humble opinion. On the other side, we have a lot of, this is what I'm a little bit angry about, this discussion when it comes to more expensive Romanian wines. Recently I heard from also one of the bigger producers that they don't consider 20 tons a hectare of production too much. How many tons per hectare?
7 to 8.
So that's the production.
DOC allows you up to 12 per grape variety. We make 7 to 8 depending on vineyard, grape, vintage, if it's difficult like last year. But you lose a lot of quality. We have same grape varieties with different tonnage because we do wines for retail, which are not our Liliac quality. And you can see the same grape, same vineyards, but just the tonnage makes a huge difference.
This is what I want to say. So it's a third, and when you're seeing the wine, how much it costs, it's not even, let's say, double the price. So the wines here are cheaper than the supermarket, the main guys' supermarket wines. Awareness, training, and let's say yes, information, proper information. I think this is the key. Okay, other questions? I think all my profs would have been really proud of having one time this silence in their classroom.
Yeah.
But where? Yeah.
Yes.
Scream at us.
I will try. You said the millennials need more information and they have to receive it very quickly.
Yes.
In the first instance. Apart from the label, where and how you provide and which more information than what the label already offers?
We are currently going for some redesign and also working on the homepage. And the homepage has to be actually more like a platform, which is linked with your social media accounts, from where most of us look for information on Google. We Google it. And the second is on social media. We look on Facebook, Instagram for information, and this has to be linked with your homepage to get from basic information to detailed information. It has to be very quick, within links. And this is how we want to do it, but first we have to provide the information and sometimes to gather the information. We don't know how much we actually know. And we just have to put it on the platform to be available. And this has to be either, also there is options with the labels, to play with the labels. QR code's a little bit out of date, but enhanced virtual reality. You can scan the label and you can see more from the label. And stuff like this, which is more future topics, but it should come for sure also here.
I think what's a main issue also here, providing information. If you're getting too complex, for example, if you're putting down everything on a label, and a person with more experience may put the right connections and resume the right solutions and answers. But let's say a novice or whatever, a youngster and a beginner won't be able to do that. Information should be accessible. This is clear. But I also think it's very, very profound, important that if you're getting information, not to be led on the wrong path right from the start. So I also prefer a little bit to be, let's say, simple and straightforward information in the beginning. And if the people want more, then as you said, you can put you don't know how it's called, on a label to scan it and then to get more information about that. But as I can say, there's a lot of information which is pure and simple not correct or even false, and therefore there are a lot of stories and thoughts circling around, especially in Romania, and this is not very helpful because everybody seems to be keen to show only the shiny part of what he does or she does, and the shadow one is not very interesting. But for me, both sides are important, and therefore, as I said, I think the labels themselves should be clear. It should be written what's necessary, of course, alcohol and so on. But if it comes then to sulfur and stuff like this, it becomes already very, very, very complex. Most of us do that, but a wine drinker who buys his wine from a supermarket, or let's say a 24, 25-year-old person who wants to have a party with a good wine, excuse me, they give a crap about sulfites whatsoever. They simply want to know what's in the wine and from where it's coming. Yeah, just a moment. Yeah.
No. More where the wine comes from. They want to see a place, and they want to see the people behind it. They want to see that it's done by people. Then you can get very technical. For someone who is interested in the technical part, how long the maceration is and so on, you can do it.
Yeah, I agree with 40%. If someone's 24-year-old who doesn't give a crap about residual sugar.
Yes.
I can.
No.
Would you say it's the information that counts more, or the fact that his decision is being influenced by social media accounts?
Of course, informations are being influenced by different ways, but for a person, it's nicer to know when I drink this bottle that I know, okay, this is from that vineyard in that place. It's very nice that you have an origin to something, and that you know that this cannot be like a Coca-Cola can from anywhere in the world. To provide this information which places your product, your wine, in a specific point, and then that it's harvested by hand. Also nice that you know that people actually took care of it, that people worked a lot of people work until you can enjoy your bottle of wine in the restaurant.
So you are talking about the story behind it.
The story behind it, but with real profound information. To know that for this wine is only part of a small production, or I don't know, we produce for some wines 3,000 bottles, from some 5, 6, and where they come from, and then you can go into detail how they have been processed. That you know that people worked behind it, that also people were thought a lot how this wine should taste, that there were a lot of tastings done by the winemaker and me and others, and so on, that there is a long process of work until you really can enjoy that bottle of wine. This is, and also you can add then information about climate, why this wine tastes. We are quite, I think, known for Sauvignon Blanc, but our Sauvignon Blanc tastes from year to year different, and many people don't understand that. But every vintage is different. Every summer has different rains and so on, and every Sauvignon Blanc is a different composition of different vineyards. So it changes, and you have to promote that information. Why it tastes this year like this, and the other year like this, and that's the key, I think. Thanks.
Okay.
I think we're done.
I think they are done. Yes. Okay. If we are done, then thank you very much. Very interesting, and all the best for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And talking about information, visual effects are way underrated, even if it comes to wine. And this is now the next speaker who, let's say, she tries to make their pause. You need a break already?
Yes.
Okay, then break.